Alright, guys, we're live. Wow, I think it's the fastest I've had people in the room, Eric.
Right. Well, John Gale slightly, and Sava and Brookie and Lightfoot Farm are here.
Yep.
Hopefully Jester comes back in, and hopefully Shannon shows up.
Yeah, I'm gonna steal a little bit of John Gale's podcast content to go on a kind of a. Today's gonna be more of a rant, guys. I'm got some things I wanna. Some things that kind of aggravated me that occurred yesterday and today, actually, just before I got on, just before I entered the room with John Gale's show. And I wrote some notes down, and I wanted to check in on a few other things, but I guess we'll start here. So I was on Facebook, and I think I've had the Real Conservative Talk page for about 4 months now. I want to say October. And in a matter of 2 months, I thanks, Mickey, for sharing it. I had about, God, I was getting crazy views. Like, I'm talking about, I had videos getting like 100,000 views. And usually I never got under 1,000 for a while. All of a sudden, I'm getting like 100, 200 views. I can't buy likes or views, except for people that are constantly on the Real Conservative Talk page. And I'm looking at my analytics today, and I have 93% decline in how much reach the page has. Now, I'm not talking about, being realistic with, the Facebook algorithm. When you have a page, normally I think they say you reach about 10% of your audience. No, I went from getting, I don't know, maybe 500 new page likes or followers. I probably average about 150 to 200 new page likes or followers every week or so, to hardly any. And now, when I first started the page and I made these videos and people like the videos, Facebook has a feature where you can click on the little like button when people like it, and it'll ask you if you want to invite all the people that like your video if they haven't already liked the page. And I was doing that, right? Because I'm trying to grow the page, absolutely. Well, come Christmas, I kind of, wasn't around as much, so I stopped doing that as much. I may have invited 20 people that have liked my videos that didn't already like the page to come like the page on, over the last month. I think so far this week I've sent out maybe 2 invites. That's it. Now, Facebook allows you to do like 500 to 1,000 per day. It isn't until you or ask 500 to 1,000 people per day to come like your page do they stop you, and they say, hey, we're gonna you can't do any more of this. You can't invite anymore because we're trying to stop spam. Okay, whatever. Which I don't get that, because I'm not spamming anyone. I'm just asking them one time. You can only send one invite per person to come like my page, so it's not spamming anybody, really. But besides the fact, today, now again, I've invited like 2 people this whole fucking week. And today, I went to invite one person. Facebook sends me a message saying I'm not allowed to invite anyone. What? I can't ask people to come and follow me? Again, I'm not asking people like 10 times, come follow the Real Conservative Talk Facebook page. I'm asking them once. Just one time. They only let you ask once. Whether or not the person accepted it. There's no time period that goes by where you can re-ask. You just get one time. So they're not getting 50 invitations from me. On top of that, I'm looking at the reach that each post gets, and I share them to the same places. I haven't changed anything up. Same content. And it's only showing it went from, usually I would average just organic reach about 300 to 400 people. I think my reach is about 60 now. 60 people. Unless, like I share it and then maybe it catches on a little bit, but it still doesn't take off. The other thing, with the amount of page followers I have, I qualified to have my page get partnered sponsorships. Now, I have another page that also qualified. They allow that other page to apply to try and get these partner sponsorships or these advertisements. My Real Conservative Talk page that has way more viewership and way more followers, I can't get it. And I qualify for all this stuff. And I appealed it, and they said I lacked original content. People, I want to let you know that I think the last 30 videos I put on Facebook has been nothing but me live streaming myself. I didn't know someone else had a fucking trademark on my own face. I didn't know I was getting a copyright infringement for my own voice. I mean, what kind of shit is that? I write my own articles. Same thing. You know, it's really sad because if I was here shouting fuck Trump every day, I'd probably be, put in front of an audience of 20,000 people and running advertisements on all my videos. If I was freaking over here, bowing down to Fauci's science, they'd want to put me up front for getting out proper information. But when you go against it, and it's proven, it is what it is. So that kind of got me fired up. So I hope Facebook is watching right now because I'm live streaming. Fucking Facebook. That's not to my audience watching on Facebook. I love you guys. That's to the Facebook employees that are watching. And for those of you on Podbeam, I just gave them the finger. The next thing. I wrote an article about a week or two ago. And I've talked about this on the podcast. It's about it was about Biden's vaccine mandates. And those of you that have watched me, I went through and did the research and the statistics and showed that Biden's vaccine mandates were not only a bad thing because it's going against people's choice, Mark Zuckerberg, I like it, but it's also going to cause mass unemployment, particularly in the minority demographic. So they're pretty racist, actually, especially in the federal employees. Now, it wasn't just forcing people to get the vaccine. It was also going to cause mass unemployment with the testing program. And I'll recap this for people watching on Facebook or Podbean. The testing program. So Biden gave businesses of 100 or more employees an ultimatum. Either your employees get vaccinated or they have to show a negative COVID test every week. Now, with that, what they did, Biden was slick when he did this. You can currently go get a Walgreens or CVS COVID test. It's free. But the test for the program to return to work, so the ones that your employer would give you for you to be able to work every week, they're not free. They're not covered by the federal government. And the federal government also said that private insurance doesn't have to cover it. So far what you're seeing and what I said has come to fruition. It's funny because I hear people talk about it all the time, whether it's on Podbeam or whatever, and other shows, about how their employers making them pay for the testing. It's exactly what I fucking said would happen. It's trickle-down economics. It's just a damn democratic version. So don't listen to that shit about trickle-down economics doesn't work. It does. It works very damn well. Just not the way everyone always talks about it. Because all the negative shit that happens trickles down extremely well. It's like running water. The cost of a test is $100 to $150 per week, per employee. Like I said, there's no business that is going to cover the expense of a weekly test when it's the employee's choice to not get vaccinated. It's one thing if it's raising taxes or something on the business that's out of the employee's control, but this is an employee choice, as it should be. But the employer is not going to cover that cost of $100 to $150. So what I said was going to happen is that it's not going to be these vice presidents or these key employees that are going to, be in trouble. They don't care. They're making $100,000, $200,000 a year. And $100 a week to them is nothing. They'll eat it. So if the VP or the key employee or whatever, some executive, if they don't want to get vaccinated, they won't. They'll just pay the $100 to $150 a week and move on. But it's the people that are like the bank teller or the warehouse worker, the truck driver, whatever. They're the ones that are now can't afford to get tested, and they don't all of a sudden want to get vaccinated either. Now, after I wrote that article, I sent an email to my local representative. His name is Scott Desjardins. He's a Republican. He's been in office since 2010. This is his sixth term. Yes, his sixth term, I think it is. Since 2010, 12 years. I think he's up for re-election this year. Now, he's a Republican. And in an email, I said, hey, Scott, this is before the Supreme Court ruled on it. I said, hey, Scott, I live in your area. I wrote an article. Here's my article. Here's all the statistics. How come, and I asked him, how come no congressman on either side has mentioned the fact that this is a very racist order that Biden has given out, that it's going to crush employment in the black community, especially disproportionately out of anyone, but not even just minorities, but just overall, it's going to crush employment. How come no one is talking about that? Why isn't anyone, if you guys are smart, why isn't anyone hammering Biden on putting out an order that, like, let's play their game? They always want to call people racist, and Biden is actually putting legislation or trying to put in executive orders that are pretty racially based. Yeah, a lot of white people will lose their jobs, but really disproportionately when you look at vaccination rates and the rates that are of the demographics that are employed by the federal government and then other workers for these big companies, it was going to crush the minority community. And I said, maybe you should bring this up in Congress. Again, this is before the Supreme Court ordered on it, right? This is when they were still fighting it. So I was just curious. And I was also wanted to see if they'd email me back. And just so you know, for those of you that haven't ever emailed a representative or trying to call them, it's impossible. You get a general number, and then the email, you have to go on their website, and you have to fill out all this information. You have to be able to live in their district, all this, which I get that. But you send it to just some general website email and hope someone gets back to you. For those on Facebook, this is what he sent back. You can see it. And Eric said he's watching on Facebook too, but you'll see it. This long letter. You guys see that? His probably had some assistant, but I want to read a paragraph out of it. He says, goes on to say, thank you, Mr. Key, for sharing your thoughts on COVID-19 vaccine. I understand this is an issue with impassioned supporters on both sides of the debate. While it's true that no medical intervention is without risk and there are concerns about the vaccine side effects, the CDC is still supporting the vaccine and continues to stand behind the vaccine as safe and effective. It says, where am I at? It says there are currently a number of CDC recommendations for the reinstitution of mask mandates, blah, blah, blah. He goes on about all this shit. But he wrote here, let me see where it's at. Here he goes. All right, so let me read this paragraph to you guys. He says the ill-conceived and hasty decision by the Biden administration to require vaccination for all federal employees, government contractors, healthcare staff, first responders, and large businesses will have catastrophic effects on our country's national security, critical infrastructure, economy, healthcare systems. The Biden administration will have to reconcile an estimated 40% loss of workforce personnel across many employment sectors as a result of these vaccination mandates. There are highly skilled, highly specialized employees that are critical to our nation. I have sent letters to President Biden demanding that employees be given the ability to opt into a testing program. The acceptance of a monoclonal antibody treatment or proof of natural immunity in place of a mandatory vaccination. We have yet to receive a response to our letters from the Biden administration. You know what? That's fucking bullshit. You know why? Because I sent him a goddamn letter and told him that it's not the fucking vaccine part, just to say, it's also the testing part that is going to cause people to lose their fucking job. And this dumbass right here doesn't know what the fuck is going on, and he sent a letter to Biden actually advocating for a testing program. He has no idea that the testing program is what's costing the people that work at the bottom of the chain. He didn't even know that Biden also said that you can either get vaccinated or provide a negative test. That was literally part of Biden's vaccine mandates. Our representatives are so fucking stupid and caught up dialing for dollars every damn day that they have no idea what the fuck is actually going on. And I'm sorry for all the F words here, but that's bullshit. That's bullshit. And I sent that, just basically what I just said is what I sent back to him as an email last night. You know what I got in return? The same fucking letter as an automatic email back. You know what? We need to, first of all, these people need to be more accessible. They're representing me. This guy, literally, his office is in my fucking town, like 2 miles down the road from my house. He's in Washington, but his little headquarters is down here. Right here in Murfreesboro on the square, I'm pretty sure. I've seen it. You know, maybe if they didn't spend 8 hours a day trying to call up rich corporations to get money to get fucking elected since he's been in there since 2010, maybe his ass should spend 8 hours a day reading my email and other people's email in the area that he represents. I'm not asking you to read emails from someone from Wisconsin, but read emails from the people around Murfreesboro. Why don't you make a call every once in a while? A call to someone middle class or lower class. Why don't you why don't you go here to the Dollar General or to some other business, some local business here and say, hey, how are these vaccine mandates going to affect you? Hey, are you getting tested every week? How much does it cost you? Is the business covering? Why don't they ask questions like that? Because he obviously doesn't know what the fuck's going on. And I would guarantee you that none of them do. We have we have Republicans and Democrats that want to sit here and they want to argue and bicker back and forth, but they don't even know what the hell they're arguing about. They're picking out little quotes that each one of them says, and they don't even know the whole thing. I showed this the other day. Also, for those of you watching on Facebook, you see this? See this amount of paper? Eric, if you're watching on Facebook, you see this? That is the exact size of what the Build Back Better bill is. That's how many pages are in the Build Back Better bill.
And I'll
go ahead. That's a giant sequoia tree's worth of paper right there. One of them big redwoods is what that is. They probably don't even print it front and back either. But that's how much there is. You're telling me that they know everything that's in that right there? Absolutely not. And for those of you on Podbean that can't see it, obviously this will be uploaded afterwards. But it's about 4 inches thick. Where it's 2,800 pages. So I was pissed when I got that letter last night. I saw that response. He emailed me that letter about 2 weeks later. I sent that whenever I wrote that article. I sent it out to his name's Scott Desjardins. Since 2010. Cool Cat, you're right. It is a phone book. That's exactly right. That's all it is. They have no idea what's inside that. They have no idea. I can tell you what's not inside of it. There's no tax cuts for the lower middle class, but there's a lot of tax cuts for the rich. Oh yeah. There's about $5 trillion worth of debt inside of that bill. That's what's inside of it. Doesn't matter what it's going to pay for. James Mitchell says most of them don't, Michael. They rely on staffers for everything. Exactly. They don't even write it themselves. That's why, Pelosi makes those comments like, why don't we pass it so we can see what's in it? I would rather you spend 2 years reading what the fuck's in the bill than just passing it down our throats trying to get rid of a filibuster. And here's the thing. The voter bill, just one of them, is 800 pages. I don't know how many pages the other one is, and I've gone through most of it and reviewed it, and it's not good. Oh, what's up, Slightly? I didn't know that was the same person. I didn't know Slightly's name. I just know him by Slightly. But, oh, what's up, Robert? Sorry, guys. I've been going on. I haven't really read much of the comments. I'm looking over here to the right because of the video, so I see the Facebook ones, but I don't see the... Let's see. What's up, Robert? It's the Build Back Better bill. It's the one that Biden's been trying to push for a few months now. Yeah, well, they've killed 3 of them now. Yeah. Yeah, well, he needs to worry about building his reputation back better. Um, that's the other thing. And Eric, let me know if you can hear the Podbean stuff on Facebook as well. I think you should be able to, but you yeah, that's fine. You could hear Robert though, because I know you can hear me. I just want to make sure you can hear anyone that's talking on Podbean. Um, okay, awesome. So, but Robert, the Build Back Better bill is it's a load of shit, is what it is. All it is a bunch of toilet paper, 2,800 pages of toilet paper to wipe your ass with. That's all that is. That's the best way to describe it. Exactly. Because there's a damn shortage of it. There has been since 2020. You know why? Because they've been freaking, storing it so they could write all this of Biden's agenda on it. All 10,000, 20,000 pages worth of bullshit so we can go and take it and wipe our asses with it later on because it ain't going to pass probably. Now, I want to go over... So, obviously, the big thing today was Biden's speech last night. His little fake State of the Union... I don't even know. Is he doing a regular State of the Union address? Or was that it last night? Can I look forward to any other... What's up, Nick? Cool Cat says, I can use that as a bulletproof vest. The problem is it'd be too heavy. It'd stop a bullet. I think it would, right? A phone book does. But let's go over his numbers last night. Now, Joe Biden says that with the fully vaccinated, he said they've gone from 2 million to 210 million in a year. Okay, great. There's 330 million people in the United States, right? He says that, what did he say? He said they went from 90-something million unvaccinated to 35 million unvaccinated. And there's only 35 million people unvaccinated. Oh, working adults or adults, right? That are unvaccinated. He said, but they're adding 9 million a week. 9 million people they're vaccinating a week, is what he said. And there's only 35 million adults left not to be vaccinated. So then in 3 weeks, we should hit 100% vaccination. Or 3.5 weeks. So one of those is a lie. One of those is a big lie. Next, he says for the first time in a long time, workers got a raise. Okay, yes, they are making more money in a wage, but actually when Trump passed his tax cuts in 2018, everyone got a real wage increase of about 4 to 5%. Because the government decided to take less fucking money away from them. So they got to take home 4 to 5% more. That's a pay increase. Under Biden, wages are up like, let me see, let me go to my stats here. Wages are up. Where's that? I don't know. They had a positive increase in wages. So the weekly earnings went from like $1,117 to $1,187 average a week. But his real inflation adjusted pay is almost negative 3%. Real wages is what matters, not nominal wages. Real wages accounts for inflation. So yeah, people are making more, but it's worth less. No one got a raise. Not even close. Here's the thing. They're also looking at it as a general number when you compare it to the consumer price index. That's not personal inflation. Personal inflation is much higher because think about someone like me, gas is like 60% higher than what it was. My biggest expense is gas because of how much I drive. So that means my inflation rate could be higher than someone who doesn't drive very much, and they're just out buying food. Maybe they work from home. So everyone's is different. So you can have some people whose inflation rates are 30, 40, 50%. They don't want to talk about all this. And here's the other thing you got going for you. And this isn't Biden's fault. I wasn't going to hammer him on this, but he did start saying some shit and he started lying about it last night. So now I am going to hammer him on it. He wants to talk about how he overachieved. The only overachieving Biden did was he overachieved on how much people actually thought he was going to fuck shit up. That's all he did. That's the only way he overachieved. He did what we thought he couldn't do. He did worse. People thought he could not do any worse, and he fucking told us. He definitely overachieved. Yeah. See, I guess I look at things differently. Like, when I wrote the article about trickle-down economics actually working, people look at that like, well, for it to work, it has to be positive, right? No, working goes both ways. If something's working, that doesn't mean it's a good kind of working. It just means it's working. It could be, that it's working in a bad way or working in a good way. Well, his stuff's working in a very bad way. Cool Cat says they're doing it on purpose to bring on socialism. That's probably right. You're 100% correct. Like I said, I wasn't going to hammer Biden too much on this. But now I am. And what we have going on this year, the Fed has come out and saying they're going to do about 7 rate hikes between now and next year. They're saying between 1% and 2%. I was reading an article earlier. The founder of Interactive Brokers, which is like a big stock brokerage, like a Charles Schwab or something like that. He's like, well, when you look at inflation at being 7%, there's no way they only do 1 or 2%. They have to go higher. And we can kind of see it going on this year, but I doubt Biden's stock market does very well this year. I hope it does. I really hope it does. Because I don't like seeing the stock market go down. But I wouldn't be shocked if it doesn't do very good. His approval rating is around 31%, 33%. And it's not even how low it's gotten, it's how fast it got there. You understand, this guy came in with like a 60% approval rating. When Trump was in, he was at like a 40-some% approval rating the entire time. So Biden went from 60 to 33%. Um, it. Yes, John. Taxes are up. That's the other thing. If inflation increases, you pay more taxes. Think about it. Your sales tax. You pay sales tax on everything. If like Tennessee was pretty close to 10%. If something was $2 yesterday, then I pay a 20-cent sales tax. But if it's $3 today, then I pay a 30-cent sales tax. My taxes increased 10 cents. That's how things work. People want to say, oh, but the percentage is the same. Yeah, when the percentage is the same and prices rise, that's worse. If it's a fixed dollar amount, you pay the same in taxes. But when it's a percentage, you pay a relative amount. So taxes go up. I didn't get a chance to look at the new business apps that he said. He said it was up 30%. Okay, unemployment is at 3.92%. That's fine. He said he cut child poverty by 40%. Let's go into that child poverty thing. Maybe he did cut child poverty by 40% in 1 year. But let me tell you something. That tax credit that cut child poverty, it ain't there no more. It's gone. See, Biden made that tax credit refundable. So people that weren't paying any taxes, zero tax bill, they got potentially up to $16,000 worth of a child tax credit. Guess what? They haven't extended that yet. You know what that means? Those people that are paying zero in taxes, loving that child tax credit, that monthly little thing Biden was giving out, no more. And that's how it should be. If you're not paying taxes, why do you get a tax credit? That's called a redistribution of wealth. You're giving money to someone that hasn't paid into it. What are you giving back? If you haven't paid in, but the IRS is giving you money back, they're giving you back someone else's money. That's literally the definition of redistribution of wealth. That guy says, college kids who make a lot of noise about better pay ignore how doing things like raising minimum wage screws people on fixed income. Exactly, it does. It 100% does. Let's see what else we got here. It says Build Back Better cuts the price of prescription drugs. I don't know. He says Biden says it's going to cut the deficit. It's not going to cut the deficit. In fact, it's going to add to the deficit. There's many studies on this, especially if they do end up being able to extend the child tax credit. The bill's going to go from costing about $1.7 trillion to about $5 trillion over a span of 10 years. And it's not bringing in that much revenue, if any revenue. See, in the Build Back Better plan, they also have the free preschool. But the child credit is supposed to pay for the preschools. That's what makes it free. So while they may lower some of the cost of preschool, I don't think it's going to be free if they can't extend the child tax credit. And he can't really extend the child tax credit because if he does, then the bill can't have that zero deficit deal where, he can say it's not costing any money because it's going to cost a crazy amount of money. It's like either $600 or $900 billion a year just in that child tax credit alone that he wants to do. Joe Biden said he has the black community's back. Well, that's a fucking lie too. Because I just went on a whole rant about how his vaccine mandates were extremely racist. Again, statistics. 51% of the black community was vaccinated as of December 13th. 18% of the federal government, civilian employees, executive branch employees, which is the exact definition of what Biden said the vaccine mandates apply to, 18% are black. Black people make up 10% of the national workforce. So the federal government employs more black people proportionately than any other entity. Only 51% of them were vaccinated. Sounds pretty fucking racist to me if you're willing to fire them all. It's also racist when you're wanting to make them pay for testing if they don't want to get vaccinated and risk them firing, because the people that, like statistically speaking, white people tend to be in the upper jobs. Not all white people, but a lot. So you're literally targeting minorities by doing that. So that's disproven. What else? Okay, supply chains suck. He says his Build Back Better plan will combat inflation. Well, right now, our inflation rate is so high because they have literally printed 25% of the amount of money total ever in the history of the United States within 1 year's time. Not only did they do it with the form of COVID stimulus, but they also threw out COVID stimulus checks and PPP loans, and the Fed's done quantitative easing. They have just pumped money into the economy. I'm not saying that it shouldn't have been done. What I am saying is when you want to add, let's see, a $1 trillion infrastructure bill, when infrastructure is usually paid for by the state and local governments, but you want to add another $1 trillion infrastructure bill, probably didn't need that, at least not at this time. And then you want to add another $1.75 trillion Build Back Better bill. Then you want to cancel student loan debt. Then you want to, the Democrats want to look at healthcare spending. All of that is printing money because you're saying you're not going to do it without raising taxes. The only way you can get more tax revenue when you do increase taxes is if you increase his taxes on the lowest bracket because you capture everyone. This is stuff I preach all the time. If you only raise it on the rich, it doesn't work because they come to me and people like me that work in finance and they ask about what kind of ways can we get around for paying taxes. So, inflation is 7%. The Great Depression went as high as 10%. Cool cat, yeah, but in the 70s, it was actually higher than that. So, the next thing. January 6th. I don't talk about this a lot. I don't talk about the flat tax is exactly how we should go. That guy, exactly. It's exactly what I say all the time. But I don't talk about the January 6th stuff very often. And I also don't talk about the election stuff very often. But I was thinking about something that I was listening to the radio and I heard this guy talking about this. We have spent millions of dollars creating these January 6th committees, investigating all these. I don't know how, was it like 600 people that are trying to arrest for this? We have Kamala Harris's dumbass up there saying that it's equivalent to 9/11 and Pearl Harbor. I want you to think about this. There's more guns than people in the United States. It's not even close. And I would go out on a limb and say that the majority of guns are owned by right-leaning individuals, Republicans and conservatives. Now, obviously, liberals and Democrats own a lot of guns too. I'm just saying that if statistically, I bet most of the gun ownership is from Republicans and conservatives or independents. The election happened on November 6th or November 3rd, somewhere around there. November 3rd? Okay. The election happened November 3rd. People were pissed off about that election before it even happened because of all the rule changes that some of these states did with the mail-in voting. Then, obviously, the entire week or two leading after the election, we still didn't have a legit winner yet. People were pissed when they saw what was happening. Again, I don't get into whether it was fake or not. What I'm saying is that people were fucking mad. And Trump was mad. That rally on January 6th that Trump held was scheduled well in advance. I knew about it. There were millions of people that were projected to show up at this thing in downtown Washington, D.C. Do you think that with the best intelligence agency in the world that they would have called in the National Guard with a bunch of pissed off conservatives thinking that an election was stolen from them? A lot of them own guns. And we're just going to not call in the National Guard, right? I'm just saying, like, if you knew something like that was going to happen, like, because if an insurrection has to be planned, it just doesn't fucking happen out of nowhere. You don't just try and overtake a government out of nowhere, right? Like, common sense says it has to be planned in advance, in that we would have known about it. Apparently we did, but I'm not even going to get into that. On January 6th, do you really think that if they wanted to take over the government, they couldn't have. There was no National Guard there. All there was some small Washington, D.C. police forces. If they really wanted to take over that building, they would have not only taken that shit in a matter of about 10 minutes, but they would have had a standoff with the military afterwards for at least a couple weeks, I would imagine. Think about how many people were at that rally. If they really wanted to do it, they would have had guns, they would have went in there and took that shit over, and there would have been a war going on right there in Washington, D.C. Let's be honest about this. You know why I say that? Because in Seattle, a bunch of pussy-ass liberals with no guns were able to make that little town called Chaz. They took, 2, 3, 4 blocks over? And a police station? And held it for like a month. And you know what? Those people went home. They literally took over a section of the city, of an American city, for a month or two. And they all went home. And someone got fucking murdered. And it's funny, you know what's ironic is, that started over the George Floyd protest. And the person that got murdered was a black kid. They did it with no guns. So do you really think that with more people at the January 6th rally, and most of them gun owners, that they couldn't have taken over that Capitol building? Yeah, right. It wasn't an insurrection. Okay, so he said they had guns in Chaz. Not the kind that could have been used over here. They didn't have that many. That's really frustrating because now we're just, if we're going to be honest about shit, let's be honest about shit. I've done well, I think, the last few episodes refraining from cussing so much, but this has gotten to the point where I'm being censored for no reason because I haven't even said anything bad lately until today. You know, you go and you look at all the conservative Facebook pages. Don't cuss, you were doing so well. It's already over with now. I've been cussing this whole podcast now. But if you... Yeah, I mean, look, when I started off bad, when I first started the podcast, and I've toned it down, I still cuss on the podcast. Every podcast, I probably say a cuss word, but, you know, I toned it down. But tonight, I was really aggravated by a lot of things, by that stupid-ass letter I got from my own representative, who's been there for 12 years, and he has no idea what's going on. He literally the thing that I told him that was the problem, he advocated for. See, you get on TV and you think, you hear the news and you hear the the senators and the Republican representatives saying, yeah, he's going to force people to get vaccinated. No, he wasn't forcing them to get vaccinated. He was forcing them to get vaccinated or show a negative test. Both are bad. That guy, stop it. You're good. It's funny. You keep it going. But they don't say the whole story because I don't think they know the whole story. They don't pay attention. How can you know what's going on in a bill that's 2,800 pages long when you spend 8 hours a day trying to call up to get money for the Republican Party so you can stay in office? Stupidity is uneducated. Maybe you can enlighten him. Actually, John, I looked up his past. I think he was a physician at one point. Obviously not. You know, you gotta love this. When you go on his website, and they all do this, and I think it's a load of shit. Because they have this picture. He's in the middle, and he's got a bunch of nurses around him. And he's wearing his suit. You know, he's not a doctor anymore, so he's not in like a doctor's getup. He's wearing his suit because he's a representative. You know, got his little American flag and Tennessee logo. And he's got, he's with the first responders. Oh, you know what? That's the only time you've seen them. That's fake. I'd rather see a picture of you drunk with your buddies with your arm around them. For real. Because then I see what kind of person you are. Why don't you take a picture with your friends? Probably because you don't fucking have anymore. That guy, Eric says, there used to be this far left liberal who used to do podcasts on Podbean before going to Twitch. Kai bills himself as an anarcho-socialist, and he curses like a sailor. Mm. Probably not very much greener if he's a socialist, but I think they have brown grass. Yeah, that's I was listening to a speech last night. Oh, and let's not forget the Ukraine comments. Right? That wasn't good in itself. Look, I have said, so don't get me wrong. I said I don't think we should be messing. Who cares? Let them fucking fight it out over there in Ukraine, Russia, and whatever. I'm all for it, staying out of it. But when you go on there and you have a potential war that's about to happen, and you just say, oh, well, it's just a minor conflict, we're not going to do anything, you kind of give up the element of surprise or any kind of consequence that could happen if Russia were to go and invade Ukraine. And now they know, like, oh, Biden ain't going to do shit. If I'm Ukraine, I'm kind of mad at his speech last night. John says Russia's going to start a war and China is too. Biden is not capable. He's not. I said this. I literally had an episode a while ago saying that culture here in the United States is going to be the reason why there's a war in Europe and a war in Asia. And the reason why culture is going to be a reason is because we don't even know if we're male or female. We can't determine if we should let trans athletes compete in sports. Meanwhile, Russia and China are over there worrying about who the fuck they're going to blow up next. I'm sure all of you guys have seen the military commercials. Go look at those comparisons. I'm not even going to bring this stuff. This is like old news. Now, the thing I was going to steal from John Gale's show is the Chinese Olympics. I think that China should not be allowed to host an Olympics. I think that China should actually have to pay for the Olympics to be hosted somewhere else. Ideally, somewhere here in the United States. Oh, reparations for sure. 100%. 100. If we were smart, we would cancel those transactions. Well, I say that. Look, you'd have to look into whatever the consequences are. But when they come back wanting their money, you just tell them to go jump in a lake. For real, I'd be like, and I mean, at some point, you have to have some kind of leverage on China, or Russia. We're gonna sanction. I'm gonna sanction Russia with such hard sanctions that they don't know what hit them. You know what a sanction is? A sanction is the pussy's way of saying I don't know what to do. That's exactly what it is. We've been sanctioning Russia for the last however many years. We sanction North Korea all the time. They don't care. They just keep launching missiles. They're getting. How can you sanction a country like North Korea to the point of just almost starving to death, but they still get money to shoot off missiles and try to blow people up? He said because those were American citizens who were screwed. Wait, what? We paid the Japanese reparations for what we did to them in World War II. Is that true? That can't be true, that guy. I never heard of that. Fuck them. We shouldn't pay reparations to any. Look, okay, guys, this is a whole different episode on Facebook and everywhere else tonight. Because I have, look, this is a rant tonight. We should not fucking pay reparations to any fucking country in this whole world. Do they pay out anything for Pearl Harbor? No. What's up, King? We shouldn't pay reparations to any country. Let me tell you something. If it wasn't for the United States entering World War II, France, England, and all those countries there would either be speaking German or Russian. And the countries in Asia, China, all them, would be speaking Japanese. Hey, Mike, isn't Key Japanese? No, it's actually Irish. It was Mickey. So, close though, close. And even if it was, I don't care. You know, the Japanese, you want to come over here, you want to blow up and kill 3,000 Americans on a surprise attack, and you don't want there to be consequences? You don't want there to be consequences? How many people did the Japanese kill between China and all the islands in the Pacific and bombing Darwin and Australia? They literally took over China. They took over the Philippines, Korea, all the islands, and tried to move in on Darwin. Really? And if we didn't drop 2 nuclear bombs, we were going to have to invade the mainland. You know how many people we would have killed then? We already kept killing millions of Japanese by firebombing them, and they still wouldn't surrender. Okay? And if we invaded the mainland, it would have been over for them. There would have been millions of lives lost on the Japanese and American side if we invaded the mainland of Japan. I think the 2 nuclear bombs, they got off easy. And I hate to say that because it sounds really mean, but it's also the truth. That guy says, you're okay saying it's cool if we lock up American citizens whose crime was being... No, I didn't say that. That's different. I'm talking about the Japanese over in Japan here. I'm talking about American citizens that were locked up. That was not right. Never said it was. Not even close. You said what you said was that. What? What do you mean? I don't know. All is far in love and reparations. Oh, fair. And love and reparations. Yeah, right. Look, honestly, I don't understand how the United States went from entering World War II, winning in the Pacific, and winning in Europe. All right, we went in, we liberated France, who was completely occupied by the Germans. We liberated the Netherlands, Italy, all of those places. All of them. Remember, the British had to go get civilian boats to get them off of a beach. They didn't even have enough ships to go get their own soldiers off of a beach in France. There's a whole movie, Dunkirk, about this, right? So, why aren't they paying us reparations? No, in fact, the United States pays 3 point something percent in NATO. We spend 1 to 2% more percent of our GDP. That's not even dollar amount. If you want to talk about dollar amount, it's like $1 trillion more. I don't know what the damn budget is, but we pay 2% more of our GDP, which is the highest GDP in the world, in NATO. Why aren't those European countries paying for all of it? Why aren't they paying us reparations? What? I don't get this. We saved the world twice. We destroyed the Soviet Union. and we're the bad people, and we're paying everyone. We're trying to take care of everyone. When do we get our help? When do we get our stuff? When does it come here? You have China that just starts this shitty ass virus. How many millions of people? China has literally done the worst terrorist attack with COVID in human history. It has changed people's lives forever. And we're letting them host the Olympics? And we were mad about Trump's tweets. You know what it is? We're a bunch of pussies here in America now. We are. That's the only way to say it. We want kids to chop their dicks off when they're 8 years old and give them hormone therapy. And then we want them to be able to, or we want them to live till they're 20, chop their dick off at 20, just so they can go pee it against other women. And we're the most contradicting society too, because we have this whole Title IX thing, protecting women and women in sports and all that stuff, right? And now you want men, biological men, to be able to go and compete in women's sports. That goes against everything that Title IX is about. Because let me tell you something. I've played football in college. I know how the game works. What do you think their college recruiter is going to do, a college coach is going to do with millions of dollars on the line with some of these women's sports? Women's basketball. He's going to go and recruit a whole fucking team of super trans to go beat the hell out of all the biological women. Women will not have any scholarships. It's killing the women's sports. And women's sports aren't doing that great as it is. And people point to, and John, I don't mean to hit you on this because you brought up, what was the powerlifter's name? Laurel Hubbard. In the Olympics, the powerlifter. People want to say, oh, well, she lost. No, she didn't lose because someone lifted more weight than her. She lost because she didn't have good enough form to finish the lift. She actually got the weight up very easily twice. But she didn't get the lift because of form. She beat herself. No women beat her. John, stop. Yeah. Oh my God, guys. So when I was working at Mutual of Omaha, right before the pandemic, we had very nice bathrooms. And obviously, in a male's bathroom, right, you have the urinals and you have the regular, toilets you go to if you want to go to the bath, like take a poop. And this guy goes in there and he goes into the the regular not the urinal, but the regular stall, shuts the door, but he stands up and pees in it. And there's just me in there. There's two urinals. It's just me. I was at the sink, actually, and I noticed this, and he goes in there, he stands up and pees, but he shut the door behind him, too. And the first thing that came out, the first thought that came to my head is you cannot trust a guy that goes in the stall to pee. You can't trust him. What's he got to hide? I mean, that was literally my first thought. Why would you go in the stall, shut the door behind you to stand up and pee in the stall when you just piss at your urinal and no one can see you anyway? And this isn't like the urinal where there's no wall next to you, right? No, it was like a high wall, like literally completely blockaded off from the urinal next to you, so you had your own privacy anyway. Just didn't have the door behind you. Those are the kind of people that like you leave because they may be up to something. I don't know. Get attacked at an office in a bathroom? It's a nice bathroom. Like it's like really nice. I see what you're saying. I get what you're saying. It was just a thought that came to my head. Look, I don't mean to be making fun of anyone. Okay, it was just the first thought that came to my head because it caught me off guard. This is one of those things I noticed. And I couldn't like justify why you would do that. Um, Look, Eric, you look at things a lot better than I do. You're probably a lot nicer person than I am. But uh, I was propositioned at a urinal once. I pissed on his feet. See, like, but okay, John, this is one though. Like, if you would have tried to have done that, Sava asked how I was censored. Oh, so I explained in the beginning of the show with Facebook, Sava, my reach on the analytics is down in the last 28 days, 93%. Then Facebook also has they have this thing where like if I share a video on Facebook and people like the video, you can, if they haven't already followed your page, you can go and ask them, you can invite them to like the page. You can only invite them once, right? But it was like you could send out 500 to 1,000 invites per day. If you were getting like, I had some videos that had gotten like 150,000 views. I was getting like 6,000 likes on them. So and this is right when the page had started. So I was just going down and inviting people. I want to grow the page. Nothing wrong with that. And Facebook has let me. I haven't invited people. I think, like I said, I've invited like 2 people in the last week. I haven't in the last month. I haven't hardly invited anyone. I go to invite someone today, and Facebook tells me I'm not allowed to. They say I'm not allowed to invite anyone. I'm like, what? In my other pages, I can still do it. So it's not like they cut it's not like they cut that. That whatever. I'm sorry, I was fired about this. It's not like they're not allowing anyone to do it. It was just my page. And then, as I explained, I'll go back because some of you weren't in the room, but my page qualified to get partnered sponsors, And I have another page that also applies, and I was able to do it. But they demonetized my Facebook page, saying that I lacked original content, when the only fucking content I put up is of my face and me talking, or the articles I write now. I have stopped putting any other kind of content up every once in a while, unless it's something else, and those I wouldn't even try to monetize. So, it's frustrating. What's up, Saba? Well, I never said it wasn't, right? That's just where the majority of my audience is. Well, I have a lot of people on Facebook. I'm not going to stop posting on there because a lot of them do go on there, and it was reaching people that are on the page a lot, So I was getting that, like the regular people, like Cool Cat and all them over here that are commenting. Well, they're from everywhere. What do you mean? All around. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, what I was gonna say with the people that are on my page though, they're not from around the world. They're all usually American, and a lot of them are from like other conservative groups and stuff, because that's where my videos are being shared. So a lot of them are, the majority of them are actually conservative and are Americans that went and followed the page. So, oh, he said pod. Eric says pod being audio isn't picking up. So sorry on Facebook, guys. For those of you that can't hear, Salva's on the phone. Um, well, I was live streaming. Yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep going on Podbean. Um, and we can talk about this stuff. I'm gonna end the Facebook live stream because I kind of did the podcast episode I wanted to do with my whole rant on Facebook. And Facebook, if I'm not on tomorrow, I'll probably be back on Monday. So be sure to tune in. And if you are listening on Facebook or to any of the people that will watch later, uh, you can go download Podbean and call into the live episodes here on Podbean as well. Or I'm not I'm not deleting the Facebook account. Uh, so um, but yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and shut it down. I appreciate you guys checking in. Podbeam, stay here. We're still going. So